Oh. So, hey everybody, I'm Mike Coppolino. I'm a stand-up comedian, unfortunately. And I have to tell jokes just to stay in shape, so that's what I'm doing. This is like a comedy performance that's a practice. I also have jokes for dogs if they need them. Alright. So, by the way, I do train drug-sniffing dogs for a living, but I train them to live in condominiums. I don't work for the cops. I train drug-sniffing dogs for a living because I have a sociology degree. That's what you get. Those are the kinds of jobs you get. Ugh. You know, as part of like being a sociology major, I have to actually go to drug tests while I'm on drugs, just to test the system. Like they make us recalibrate the system. Like once we get a degree. Because if you're a guy who has like a master's degree in sociology, you're just professionally unemployed. Because no one likes anybody these days. It's like a terrible job for a sociologist. But I got this gig where I actually I'm a secret Santa for like drug tests. Yeah, I go to labs and I pee in these cups while I'm totally on drugs. And then they call me back and they say, oh, bad news, you know. You failed. You failed this drug test. You got the job. Hey, you got the job. You can start back. When can you start bagging fertilizer at our shit factory? And then I like mark it in a book. I used to say, oh, good, you knew, you knew what the pay was for these workers. Like these workers can be on drugs. Like they don't have to be hypocrites anymore. And that's how you recalibrate the system. You know, if you're a comic or if you have a master's degree in sociology, you have to think about these things. Like we go into like concepts like where if you wear a uniform at a job and you're working for minimum wage or close to it, we've been arguing that they have to like make you pay. They have to pay you extra for wearing the uniform because it's advertising. Like you gotta get paid $500 extra a month for wearing a Walmart T-shirt at work because it's advertising like how shitty your life is. Like you don't get paid enough. You have to get $500 extra for wearing this shirt. That would solve a lot of problems, wouldn't it? Man. People don't understand, People don't understand, like, the type of work I have to do. Like, we're actually trying to put, like, showers in McDonald's just so people can, like, take showers at their place of business. If you have a job in McDonald's, you're probably living out of a tent, and, you're living out of a tent on the side of the road, and you just gotta, like, limp out of your tent every morning. You gotta walk through a bunch of dog shit on the way to work. When you get there, you gotta work the register, and you get like shit all over your hands and stuff, and hepatitis. And they don't take that into account when they're paying you at McDonald's. So I'm just saying they should have like a shower there. Wash off all the shit before you work the register. I mean, that's just ethics, that's morally right. Oh, hello, yes. No, I actually think marijuana is a gateway drug. That's why it should be legal. Yeah, marijuana is a gateway drug. It's a gateway for realizing your boss is an asshole. Like that's what I think. As a sociologist. No, but I have to do like really hardcore drugs. Like as part of my major. Like I had to smoke Jimson weed. I had to. It was part of my degree. Got to wander into the desert and smoke a bunch of Jimson weed. And I didn't do that. I actually smoked it in my dormitory. But then I went blind for 3 days. Like I smoked Jimson weed in my dormitory and went blind for 3 days. And when I woke up in the hospital 3 days later, I thought I was the guy that invented the word dude. And I had no concept of time. I just slept on a couch for however long I needed to like recover from it. But now I'm much better. Now I know what day it is. That's what Jimson weed does to you. It saturates your bloodstream with, like, fucking horrible shit. Ugh, man. You know, I think I'm a stand-up comedian because I need, like, excuses for nosebleeds. I just need another excuse. I'm tired of, like, telling people, like, it's the dry weather that causes my nose to bleed. Ugh, man. I'm actually an amateur because I did coke in moderation. That's what you get for being a comic. Like, you have to do a lot of coke to believe in yourself. That's part of the deal. You have to, like, do that much coke to be funny. Like, you have to be, just to go on in life. Yeah, I'm actually the spokesperson for extreme sobriety, if you can believe it. I spell extreme with 3 E's. I actually know how to spell. That's how you know you're, like, working for sobriety. No, but I actually have to, like, test it all the time. That's how you know how extreme it is. Like, I've done acid, obviously. You could tell. I mean, I'm not worried about it. Yeah, I've done acid, like, 300 times this year. It's actually been a slow year. I mean, we're almost done with it. I've only done it, like, 300 times. But, you know, it just doesn't affect me anymore. I just do acid for sobriety, just to test my sobriety. Like, I just wake up, like, after doing a bunch of acid, I think, oh, you know, the sky's exploding, how should I dress? And then you go to work. That's what you do. Like, my car doesn't have any brakes. So I can't pay for brakes. I just live dangerously. But I always, like, get to work on time. I always, like, park my car. It just makes a horrible noise, which I don't really acknowledge because, you know, it's just part of normalcy. It's part of being normal. Like toothaches. That's part of being normal. Toothaches are part of being normal. Like, that's why I do nitrous. It's my excuse for doing nitrous oxide. Because I'm like a frontier dentist. No, I love doing nitrous oxide because, you know, it kills brain cells. Yeah, I need that. I need to cull some brain cells. It's like I work at a gas station. Because that's what I'm into, you know? Working at a gas station? No, I'm actually, like, working on making money. You know, but fuck this comedy thing, you know? Comedy doesn't make any money. I learned that. I learned that the easy way by not caring about money. But that's why I'm going to be a mad scientist, like, after all this is done. Because everyone's a scientist these days. Everyone knows what's going on. Like, everyone has their own microscope. And that's my euphemism for doing a little meth. Yeah, everyone has their own microscope. Everyone's, like, on speed. That's what I think. You know? Yeah, I'm actually a mad scientist because I read a lot of memes on Facebook and I think they're scientific journals. That's what qualifies me, you know? I would just walk out of the house, I know the reason for everything. I'm fucking mad about it. Like, there's no, like, you know, there's no mystery in life. It's just all about making money. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make money, you know, through mad science. Yeah, first thing I'm going to do is make a dog without any bones in his face. That's the first thing I'm going to do with all my mad science, because that's the easiest thing. Just find some boneless dogs and mate them. Just mate them until it's consistent, and then you got, like, a dog without any bones in his face. And that dog, it could be wildly expensive. It'd just be some meat tube and, like, a dog stroller that, like, people can buy for, like, a lot of money. Like $31,000 for this dog. This boneless dog. And you walk up to people in this dog stroller, and people will peer into it, and you go, oh my God, this dog is, like, so cute. I'm just so glad you have enough money to take care of it. You know? And they'll feel empathy for you because you have money, and you're, like, doing, like, the responsible thing. Taking care of this dog. Like, you had to rescue it right when it was born. It's wildly expensive. Yeah. You know, because that way rich people can really feel connected with the universe that way when they're walking past homeless people. Like, because homeless people care about these things. You know, they see it breathing, they care. Man. You know, I actually do live drugs. I actually do live drugs because I'm scared of fentanyl. I'm scared of fentanyl because, you know, all these drugs they have now, these commonplace drugs are laced with fentanyl. And so you're just doing a little cocaine and you just go to sleep because some idiot put fentanyl in your cocaine. They're trying to, like, make some money. That's stupid because, you know, I like drugs that torture me first. You know, before they put me to sleep or kill me. And fentanyl does none of that. Yeah, fentanyl does none of that. That's why I do live drugs. I like toads to get high. I like a toad to get high because, you know, if it's like somebody drizzles fentanyl on a toad, it just stops breathing and dies. It's a living creature, you know, it has the same rules as we do, you know? You know, if I see like a dead toad, and that's the toad I was going to lick, I say, oh, this toad might be laced with fentanyl, I'm not going to lick it. Because who wants to die that way? Because you're like the first person to die that way if you die that way. You make the news. It's like you're on World Star. I got in a fight with these drugs and it won. Yeah, because I was stupid. No, but actually toad is like the best drug ever. Just so you know, toad is the best drug. Because it's the only drug that can have sex and make more drugs. You can watch your drugs fuck and make more drugs. Like, that's the best thing ever. It's like sea monkeys out of control. That's what it is. And these toads secrete DMT. That's the best part. Because if you're making, like, drugs in your bathtub, you like it to mimic the process of actually doing the drugs. And it's great. You got these tadpoles, like, all in your bathtub, and they transform themselves into drugs. Live drugs that, like, eat each other, like, if you calibrate it enough. That's the thing, you gotta just have enough algae in your bathtub for these tadpoles to grow up and metamorphosize into, like, drugs. And that's like the best, you know? That's the best thing about, like, doing these drugs. You know? They're just self-replicating drugs. Oh, man. Anyways. Oh, hi, how are you? Yes. So, I spent 7 years and $150,000 getting a master's degree in sociology. And now I know everything there is to know about being an idiot. Thank you. Oh, gosh. So, So my new fetish is looking suspicious. Yeah, it's super easy. Super easy. Whenever I go to the airport, I just wear a turban. Thank you. Oh, gosh. So, I've had my trouble with cocaine, if you could believe that. Yeah, once it got so bad, I ended up going to an NA meeting. I was, like, so strung out. I had to wave my paycheck around almost 3 minutes before I got any coke. Thank you. Oh, man. So, people keep telling me I live in a bad neighborhood because I live there. But none of that's true. I actually live in a bad neighborhood. And because they sell baseball bats at the liquor store. No, actually it's because they sell heroin there. Thank you. So I think there'd be less suicides. I think there'd be less suicides if more people died of cocaine overdoses. Thank you. All right. I think there'd be less school shootings if kids were allowed to smoke cigarettes. That's my theory, like, as a sociologist. Because if kids were smoking cigarettes, they wouldn't pick up guns. They'd just be cool again. You know? Oh, man. So anyways, I'm pretty old. You could tell. I'm pretty old. But I'm not some boomer. I'm not a boomer. I'm actually the first Gen Xer.
Oh, yeah.
I am the first Gen Xer. I was born in 1969. It's a good year for being born. Anyways, I know I'm the first Gen Xer because when I was in kindergarten, it was 1974 and I made an ashtray in class. I made an ashtray in kindergarten and I got graded on it. But my grade was right on. Like, there was no letter grades. It was just right on because it was 1974. My teacher just said, right on, dude. This is a swell ashtray. You know, because he was on drugs and he didn't know. Nobody knew anything in 1974. Nobody even knew anyone was on drugs because drugs was a new thing in 1974. Drugs in the workplace was a new concept because there was high employment. Everybody was working because everybody needed money for drugs. And everyone was motivated. But nobody knew why they were motivated because it was 1974. So anyways, I got graded on this ashtray. And then I brought it home to my parents. And my parents said, right on, this is a swell ashtray. You know, that's what they said. They said the school is teaching real good. We're proud of you. And now we still have that ashtray, and we drag it out on Christmas. And my parents, like, you know, have it as a Christmas decoration because they can't smoke anymore. They're too old. But I keep my drugs in that ashtray around Christmas time. That's what I do. Because I made it, so therefore I can use it. But can you imagine what would happen if some kid made an ashtray in kindergarten these days? Like, they would destroy that school in an eco-friendly manner. They would just destroy it. They just grind it all up into dust and, like, hide all the asbestos in the foundation of the school. And they'd recycle all the products that they, like, took out of the school and build a plastic school out of it. Just an inflatable school that kids can, learn in. And I say, that's your new school. It's all based on science. The science of being safe. And these kids will, dance around in this inflatable school and get autism. That's what I think, because I'm a sociologist. Oh, man. I need drugs to do normal things. Just so you know that. I need drugs to do normal things because it's part of my major. Like, I had to drop 5 hits of acid to do my taxes. Like, that's what I need to, get by. I need drugs just as an excuse to be unemployed. Oh, man. Can you imagine what the work is going to be like after this is done? You just be working for ration tickets and blankets. That'd be great. Man. Anyone wipe their ass with a sock this year? Like, was this your chance? I was wiping my ass with socks long before this happened. Because I'm an alcoholic that runs out of toilet paper. Cause and effect, right? I just buy stuff after I run out of it. That's how I live. That's how I live because I'm a new age type of guy. I'm into all that new age stuff. I got a new age bookstores and I buy stuff. I buy crystals and things. Yeah. Actually, I went to a psychics convention the other day. I went to a psychics convention. Yeah, boy, was that shit predictable. No, it's fucking predictable. I walked in there. This guy shows up and says, hey, let me read your fortune. And I thought, well, I don't have any money. And he said, let me read your fortune anyways. It's like they don't even understand my thoughts, these psychics, I felt like I was the only psychic in there in this room full of psychics. I know what I'm thinking. But what does that make me? Double psychic? Man. I actually bought a calendar for 40% off at this bookstore because I keep track of time. I want to know what days are happening. I want to keep a calendar. So I thought I was getting this small calendar. It was going to be 40% off because it was a new age bookstore. That's how they sell calendars. And then when I got it home, there was only 7 months in the calendar, so I got what I paid for. I couldn't even complain about it because I was getting what I paid for. But no, my months are 52 days long, so I like to have more money. And I pay bills like 7 months out of the year. There's only 7 months. That's where my logic is at right now. God, I could take a break and drink a cup of coffee. I'm fucking up so much. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, gosh. So I say everything comes in handy for the obsessive masturbator. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, last night I jerked out to complete privacy. Yeah, I wore a tinfoil hat while I played with myself. Yeah, because Jesus is watching and I don't want him to know. Yeah, now Jesus works for the government. There's a lot of people that say millennials aren't going to have nostalgia. Millennials aren't going to have nostalgia because things are moving too fast to have nostalgia. But I think they will. They'll have nostalgia. It's just going to be memories of telling people how great the future is going to be. Ugh. Man. That's a mean joke. I think I have other jokes that are like that. Like, here's a mean joke. It's also my stupidest joke. No, we'll get to my stupidest joke. So my girlfriend applied for a job at a strip club. My girlfriend applied for a job at a strip club, but she didn't get the job. She forgot to bring 2 forms of humiliation to the job interview. That's a stupid joke. Thank you. So my ex-girlfriend has a Mayan calendar tattooed on her back. Yeah, in 2012 she expired. Thank you. That's an awful joke too. Oh, especially in the circumstances. I mean, but that's my fault because I'm a comic. Like, everything I do is inappropriate for the times. So I was in an adult bookstore because, hey, look at me. Like, that's a great joke. I was in an adult bookstore because it's kind of my job. You know, I go in there and I have to clean out all the returns. I have to wash out all the returns at the adult bookstore. So anyways, they were calling me in. They were calling me in because I get paid $50 for this. And I walk into the adult bookstore, and right when I walk in, there's this guy having an argument with the cashier. All right? And he's got this stretched out blow-up doll, like, all over the countertop. Stretched out, you know? And he's arguing with the cashier. He's trying, he's saying that his blow-up doll has a hair lip. His blow-up doll had a hair lip. It was like all like distorted. It was like a factory defect, like when they poured the plastic. And it turned his like blow-up doll into a Chinese finger trap. And he didn't want to use it. He didn't want to use that blow-up doll. He was trying to bring it back. And the cashier was trying to give him store credit. The cashier was trying to give him store credit. Like $20 more, store credit, so we can like walk out of the store with the gum job granny. It was like a fair exchange. You know, almost the same price. Because these dolls are like $160. And he didn't want to just give him all the cash, you know. So I walk in there and I see this happening. And I say, hey, what's going on here? I mean, like, why are you even starting with the face? That's what I said to these people, this argument. I said, why start with the face? You're just having sex with a trash bag. And they both looked at me like they didn't expect that to be an argument. And I said, hey, you know, if you have a blow-up doll with a defective head, why aren't you putting it on eBay? Why aren't you putting it on eBay? You actually won this contest right here. You have a blow-up doll with a defective head. And it looks defective. Just put her on eBay. Maybe like David Fincher and Crispin Glover can get into a bidding war over it. Like you could drive up the price. You can make like 10 times the amount you like paid for this thing. These things go for $1,000 if Nicolas Cage gets involved. He's not like in tax trouble. That's what I told him. But what I thought was like, why don't you just Kardashian that blow-up doll? Why don't you just Kardashian it? Just you know, deflate it halfway, roll it up like a tube of toothpaste, and have sex with the ass of your blow-up doll. You know, make the ass of your blow-up doll breathe while you have sex with it. That's what a Kardashian is now. That's what it is. It's a sex move. It used to be a 72-day period of marriage. And it used to mean like farting and queefing at the same time. But now it means like deflating your blow-up doll halfway, rolling it up like a tube of toothpaste, and having sex with it. Because that's what I say. It is. And you should believe it because I'm right. Oh, man. No, but you know, you gotta clean out these dolls, you know, you gotta make them all sanitary. And you gotta get paid for it, so you gotta make it an ordeal. You gotta make an ordeal for the customer. You know. But I didn't have to clean that doll up because, you know, I could tell it still had creases in it. I could tell he hadn't blown it up. It still had the creases of the box. I could just fold it and put it back in the box. Usually I have to struggle with that. You know, that's why they pay me so much. They make it like seem like it's like realistically folded into a box. Also because it's disgusting, you know? Ugh. Man. You ever think that plumbers are just the sergeants of dishwashers? That's what I think because I'm sort of a plumber, you know? I'm a plumber because I'm like a dad. Like dads actually, like, if you're a real dad, you like pay for your own plumbing. Like you dig your own holes. That's what real dads do. You know, but I'm a stand-up comedian, so I'm not a real dad. I'm actually like an imitation dad. I'm like a successful dad because I don't have any kids. That's part of like being a stand-up comic. But I have to tell dad jokes because dads are depressed. And dads are the only people that have extra money to go to a comedy show. They're like that desperate. And they have to tell these jokes to like other dads to let them know like they have a pulse. So they have to learn these jokes, and I have to tell them these jokes so they can seem original. Because dads don't have time to be original. They have to work all day. They just have to be worried about their kids and how they're growing up. It's actually amazing. As a stand-up comedian, I actually am old enough to have like other stand-up comedians show up and wish I was their dad. Like they wish I was their dad because I'm doing drugs with them. But it's ethical because they're 25, but they're still children. But they look up to me and say, I wish you were my dad. And then I laugh in their faces. Then I laugh in their faces because I knew if I was their dad, I wouldn't be funny or cool. That's how it works. And that's a good joke. It's like a sincere joke, a realistic joke for dads. Oh, man. Here's a good joke that dads can tell. Like, hey, kids, what's the worst thing about doing cocaine in a bathroom? Oh. Hold on, a fire truck is going by. So that's like interruption on that one-liner. Hey, kids, what's the worst thing about doing cocaine in a bathroom? It's not seeing your kids on the weekend. That's the worst. That's the worst thing about doing cocaine in a bathroom. Oh, I'm sorry. That was like, I fucked that one up. But see, you have to smell everything twice as much. That's actually the worst thing about doing cocaine in a bathroom. That's the joke that dads can variably tell. They could tell that joke is like one of two jokes or one of three jokes. You could just say, oh, running out of cocaine is the worst thing about doing cocaine in a bathroom. There's many options for that joke. Like, how corrupt is your dad? Give him a test. Oh, man. So me and my wife have been having trouble with the love life. That's a good dad joke already. Classic. Me and my wife have been having trouble with the love life. So she said we should get into role playing to spice it up because we've been in a marriage for a long time. And so I agreed to it because I'm me. I deserve to be someone else. Yeah, so now twice a week she pretends to be a waitress in a truck stop and I pretend to be more attractive. Oh. So I'm going to do an impression as an imitation dad. I'm going to do an impression. This is my impression of a guy that doesn't stretch in the morning. It's my impression of a guy that doesn't stretch in the morning. Thank you. All right. It's another joke. Oh, I saw this news story the other day. I saw a news story where this guy swallowed a live trout. He swallowed a fish, and he died of it. That's how he made the news. He choked to death on a live fish. Yeah, just because I show you, not all people are pelicans. Yeah. So Durex, the condom company. Speaking of ads, Durex just came out with a condom that enhances male sensitivity. Yeah, finally. Finally, just what we've all been waiting for. Yeah, for added value, each condom is wrapped in a little apology note. Oh, man. Oh, so knock knock. These are simple jokes for dads. Knock knock. Who's there? Reverse mortgage. Reverse mortgage who? Reverse mortgage, why am I knocking on his door? This is my house now. It's a cautionary tale for dads, you know? Hey, you're a dad. Every once in a while you gotta, go to a gun store so you can protect your family. You gotta go to a gun store to protect your family. So, but here's the thing, if you're a dad, sometimes you have unpatriotic thoughts, and they can sense that at gun stores. So whenever you go into a gun store, make sure you're wearing your American flag pants. Yeah, make sure you're wearing your American flag pants, Because that way you look patriotic when you're buying a gun. It's super important. They give you a discount. Oh, man. All right. Oh, man. So anyways, I train drug-sniffing dogs for a living. That's my job. It's the best job in the world. I train drug-sniffing dogs for a living. Because I have extra drugs. I have extra drugs, and it really motivates these dogs to learn. But I don't work for the cops. I actually train dogs for the private sector. Yeah, I just train these dogs to live in condominiums, because it's not natural to, their existence. I train dogs to live in the condominiums. Not drugs, but, I do train drugs to, live in condominiums because I breed toads to, get high. But that's a callback. And a business model. In fact, all of my jokes are business models. Because I have extra money because I don't have any kids. So my jokes are all business models now. Yeah. That's how I work, because I'm lazy. I'm tired of living on my knees. I'm just going to, have great business ideas. Yeah. I'm going to make a Tide Pod that's edible and also able to get out tough stains. I'm going to put a bunch of money into that. I'm going to be like the Zuckerberg of, detergents. Because as soon as you do that, it's fucking great, because you have a safe and edible Tide Pod. And it just makes all of the other detergents, deadly to children and, young adults. Now there won't be any challenges. All of the detergents can be safe now for eating. If I just invented that. Because then there would be a law saying detergent has to be edible, otherwise it's going to kill kids. Yeah. Here's another great business idea I have. Keep it under your hat. I'm going to be making some, Dark Side Star Wars memorabilia. That's what I'm doing. I'm making Dark Side Star Wars memorabilia. It's going to be, Star Wars memorabilia. It's going to have all the, decals and logos of Star Wars. It's going to look super realistic. The fonts are going to be pure and everything. But it's just going to be all of the severed limbs from Star Wars in bags. All the severed limbs from Star Wars series in bags. That blood-soaked arm from the bar scene in your original Star Wars. The one that got you all shocked and into Star Wars to begin with. That'll be in a bag, covered in blood. And you could buy it for $300. It'll be all realistic. I'm going to sell Luke Skywalker's original hand in a bag. Luke Skywalker's original hand in a bag. Just a hand. And I'm going to sell it for $300. So true fans can buy the hand and jerk off with it. Be life-size and everything. Get Luke Skywalker's original hand for $300. Then people would buy that. And then Disney would get wind that I was selling these hands to true fans, and they would just sue me. Disney would just sue me for selling these bootleg hands, and then I would just get sued into existence. That's my business model. That's just a bunch of free advertising. Just gotta make some hands, realistic hands. Oh man. That's what we're going to need in the future. Bullet trains and realistic hands. And Robocops. We're going to need Robocops. But I'm working on being the Elon Musk of robot hands for sex robots. That's what I'm going to do. Because you got to first you got to make a realistic hand. And in order to test market it, you got to test it on Star Wars people. You got to test market these Star Wars hands on Star Wars fans, because that's their sex life. Oh man, hello. So whenever I see some kid in a Star Wars t-shirt, I always think they're saying choke me, use the force, I'm into it. I think they're into choking as part of sex. That's what I think whenever I see somebody wearing a Star Wars t-shirt. I think choking is part of their sex life. And the reason I think that is because of Jabba the Hutt. That's the reason I think true Star Wars fans are into choking, because of Jabba the Hutt. You probably don't believe me, but I believe it. And I believe it because there's no way Jabba the Hutt dies that way. There's no fucking way Jabba the Hutt dies that way. You saw it. That's why you're fucking Star Wars fans. Jabba the Hutt gets strangled to death by Princess Leia. Jabba the Hutt dies getting strangled with a chain. And Princess Leia has that bikini on and everything, and her thighs are all straining and everything, while she's choking out Jabba the Hutt. And it seems like a really violent scene, and that's really impressionable to kids, when they're young. They see this this horrible scene where a guy gets violently strangled to death. It's the first time they ever see it. It's the Jack London moment, when they finally see somebody die in literature. But they see this big worm get strangled with a chain by this pretty hot woman, and they think it's violent because his eyes are all rolling around in his head, his tongue's all wagging around, his tail's all flipping out. And it's a horrible struggle, and he's flailing about, and he dies. Just gets choked to death. That's a fucking amazingly impressionable scene to for a kid to see. And the thing is, I had to think about it when I saw that. And I thought that, well, doesn't inertia exist in space? Doesn't like inertia exist in science fiction? Like, that's a science fiction concept, I guess. I mean, if we're going to believe things. I'm just saying that, like, Jabba the Hutt weighs like 2,000 pounds. It's obvious. Jabba the Hutt is big, fat, like, slug. Weighs like 2,000 pounds, and Princess Leia weighs like 100 pounds. Like, all Jabba the Hutt has to do is duck a shoulder, and that whole movie's, like, changed. All Jabba the Hutt has to do while he's getting strangled with a chain is just roll over a quarter turn. She's straining at it. She's connected to him. If he just rolls a quarter turn, Princess Leia flies 20 feet. It's like a mathematical equation to, like, watch that happen. And it should have happened. But the only reason it didn't happen is because Jabba the Hutt was into that. Jabba the Hutt is into getting choked. That's the only possible reason that scene can exist. That's the only reason that reason can exist. It's just Jabba the Hutt is like sitting there getting choked. He's saying, "Oh, this is the best death ever. This is really exciting. This is the way I want to go out, just getting choked to death by like this pretty woman that I've been like dominating for a while. This is like the best. This is the best way a Hutt can go out. This is like all calibrated to be this way. This is like this is how I've been living my life, to exist that way, this way. It's so exciting, and that's why his eyes are rolling around. That's why his tongue's flying about. He's just, oh, this is the best. And then you look at that tail and you start thinking, well, maybe that's not a tail. Maybe that's not a tail. That's the reason people like to get choked in closets, you know? That's the reason. That's what I believe. You know? Because I study films. All right. Anyways. That was a practice for that joke. See, I can't get that thing organized. The way Jabba the Hutt dies, it can't be funny. I should keep working, but it's getting cold. And I've probably done like 40 minutes. This has just been practice, and I'm sure there's like recordable bits. So, I just can't look this insane, like out in public. Oh, by the way, if you like a flyer, I have a comedy album I'm releasing. Grab a flyer if you can. Yeah, thank you. Alright, I gotta seem rational while I'm doing this. It's a big masquerade. But anyways, that's been a recording. That's been my time. I've been Mike Coppolino. It's been a performance for a parking meter in a tree. What is it? December 7th, 2020. So that's that day. Anyway, thank you. I've been Mike Coppolino. Have a great day. Or night. Ugh.